You're listening to the College Light Bulb, presented by the Coaching Educator, where we illuminate your college path. Here's your host, Rebecca M. Carroll.
Hi, I'm Rebecca M. Carroll, as was announced by our great voice person, Win Delano. He is so fantastic. But I have another fantastic guest here, and I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Elaine Bacio. I'm so honored to be here today to be your guest.
Yes, we like guests like you because I have been fascinated with just your whole, what is happening in the world of essential oils and how to do it properly and things like that. So, but as you know, we kind of torture you a little bit on the College Light Bulb. And we ask a couple questions,
Sure.
Just because our goal is to help students understand that you don't always have to know what you want to do. You don't have to worry if you get a degree or don't get a degree if you're going to be able to function in the working world, because we find that a lot of people have a crooked path to education, and myself included, and they also aren't necessarily doing what they went to get to school for. So tell us about your educational journey.
And you just described me to the T. So my educational journey started in Hong Kong. I was actually born and raised in Hong Kong. But I came here when I was 15 years old without knowing much English. In fact, back in Hong Kong, we would take the language, right? Language lessons like how we do it here. And so 1 hour a day, we would just sit in a classroom and just writing workbooks and whatnot. So nothing really immersive. So when I first came, I actually knew a little bit British English because in Hong Kong, we were a British colony.
Right.
So things that I would say would be like, oh, is that a tomato on your plate? I can't dance. Things like that. So when you think about it, Rebecca, as a 15-year-old, being brand new in this country, I looked different already, okay? Because the last thing that a 15-year-old want is to look and sound different. Yeah. So I already looked different. There was nothing I could do to change that. My mom would kill me if I were to dye my hair blonde. So I wanted so badly to change my accent. So that's what I did. And now I am just regretting it. Imagine if I was sitting here with my British accent talking with you.
Hello.
But anyway, so that's what it started. So I came here for high school.
So did you come to this area?
No, I was in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
So I went to California first.
Okay.
And
was it a complete culture shock?
Of course.
Yeah,
of course. It was so different. Yeah. Totally different. Of course, having to make friends all over again as a 15-year-old, that was hard. Yeah. Not speaking the language was hard. Sitting in class sometimes not understanding what the teacher was saying because you guys speak so fast. When I first came, I was like, oh my God, can you slow down for me? But I'm a learner, right? Yeah. And I'm a conqueror. So I learned to adapt. And very interestingly, as you were talking about your career path or your college path, the light bulb went on for me even just as a freshman in high school. At the time, I already knew I loved hosting parties. I loved just organizing parties, birthday parties and stuff for my friends. And I loved creating lists, checklists, and hey, these are the lists for the food that we need to get, the list for games, whatnot. And one day my aunt looked at all the stuff that I've been doing and she's like, you know what? You're really organized. You would be so good in catering, like doing events and whatnot, or getting into hotel management. You know what? That college called Cornell University has the best hotel management program. So at the time, I did not know. I have not heard of Cornell. I've not heard of Ithaca, New York. I have not even heard of Ivy League. Okay, yeah. I didn't know what that was.
And Ithaca is gorgeous. I mean, I'm from New Hampshire.
Oh, you are? Okay.
So trees.
Yes.
I mean, and I really love the trees here because they have the deciduous trees and you get the orange and the reds.
The four seasons, yes.
I went back last October, a year and a half ago in October, and I forgot. I mean, it's like, oh my goodness. So Ithaca, and you get a lot of snow. Had you seen, Hong Kong,
No snow.
but had you been in areas in your country where it snowed? But so how did you get there? Tell us your story.
Of course I did. So I set my mind on Cornell, and I only applied to 3 schools, 3 colleges.
Okay.
Cornell was one of them, and UC Berkeley was another one because that was close to home, and that's where my siblings went. So I just kind of make it our family college. So I'm like, okay, let's just go there. The third one is University of San Francisco because they also have a hospitality program. Mm-hmm. So I got into all of them. So I did what you advise your students to do, is to go visit. So spring of my senior year, I went to Ithaca, New York.
Did you have snow boots? Did you bring gloves?
It was very cold.
Earmuffs?
It was very cold in April.
Were you shocked? I mean, the year I moved out west, that May, it snowed, I want to say 4 feet. I mean, it was up on our windowsills. And I just remember because I had a friend who was not used to the snow, and he would call and be like, I can't take it anymore. It's snowing again. So you land, and were you just shocked?
Remember, I was not brought up in a snowy area. So to me, the novelty made it just so, like, I was like, oh my God, everything is white. How beautiful.
And it is. Yeah.
It's a beautiful campus. It was so gorgeous, and I fell in love.
I really feel like that's an area, too, that the times I've visited with college students who I feel are really well-matched for that school, I feel like the community really likes the college kids because not every community does. I don't think that they really put themselves out. I think this area, Boise, does a really great job with all inviting college students, but man... So, yes, I think that's a really nice community So you get there and, hotel management. Wow.
But you mentioned something just now of saying, like, the student has to match the school, right? Yes. And I often says when people say, well, like, did you enjoy your experience there? And I said, yeah, I loved it. Would you go back? Would you send your kids to Cornell? And I would say, well, only for hotel management. Because my experience with that specific program there was so positive, right? So if I sometimes would say, well, I probably might not send my kids there if their interest was something else. Even though it's an amazing school, it's top rated in so many different areas, but I don't think it is for every school because as you said, winter there is brutal. So if you have a child that likes to be outdoor all the time, they're not going to have a good time in the summer. Right? It's going to affect the way they study, affect the way they enjoy the college life. So,
well, except that many of us go outside and play in the snow.
You still do. That's right.
That's right. The winter here that everybody called Snowmageddon. I'm like, yeah, snowshoes, yes. I mean, I just miss snow. I didn't realize how much I missed snow. And I like the seasons, and you cannot beat fall.
No. Oh. No, you cannot.
It's almost, you just can't, until you see it, that it's real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
but you do have to be a match for the school. Exactly like what you said.
Yeah. You have to like layers.
Layers, yes.
Layers.
That's
Everybody laughs at me because I have winter muck boots. And then when it's snowing out, everybody's like, "Ooh, those are actually a good idea." So, well, that's cool. So you finished that. So then what happened?
So that junior year of my college, I became an intern at Procter & Gamble.
Oh. So which location? Back in California?
Back in California. Okay. That's what I requested. So I interned there for the summer, and they offered me a full-time position beginning of my senior year. And I took it right away because I had wanted to just have an enjoyable senior year. I didn't have to worry about looking for employment, so on and so forth. So I'm like, you know what? Worst case scenario is I go work for Procter & Gamble. And
you didn't finish your degree?
I did. Oh, my senior year. I still finished my senior year. No, I did not finish.
I was going to say, wow.
But so they gave me a full-time position for after I graduate.
Excellent, yeah.
And my plan at the time was to work for them for 2 years because I had heard about their awesome training program and how they develop their employees. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to go for 2 years, just kind of get what I could, develop myself, and then I will explore what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Those 2 years turned into 19.
Oh my goodness.
So I actually stayed with them for 19 years, mostly because it is an amazing corporate job.
Yeah.
Okay. So they pay well. There's the golden handcuff. The benefits are excellent.
So what's the golden handcuff?
Golden handcuff is your benefits package.
Okay.
Your insurance, your 401k. And so they said the golden handcuff is you cannot go, you cannot leave them because the benefits were so good. And I had that on me.
I have never heard that term. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm. However, there's one thing the reason why I brought that up is that it was a really tough lesson for me to learn, and I wanted your listeners or your viewers to really hear it at a young age. I stayed with them not because I loved what I was doing. I stayed with them because of the benefits and the pay, and I had a very comfortable lifestyle.
So what made you, so you got your degree in hospitality. Were you using it?
So great question there. It's part of the program was that we were required to intern at different hotels. So 1 year I interned at the Four Seasons in Hong Kong, and the next year I interned at Ritz-Carlton in Hong Kong. So I interned at different hotels. I loved it. Absolutely loved everything that I did there. However, after graduation, or a little bit before graduation, my mom sat me down and said, well, Elaine, you have had a taste of what hospitality industry looks like. You know that when it's the busiest, when it's the most festive time of the year, you go to work. Because during Christmas, New Year, like all those...
Which is okay until you have a family.
That's exactly what she told me.
Yes.
She's like, you might really enjoy it now, but think about it when you have kids. Yeah. And I had a first-hand experience on that because my dad, as I was growing up, my dad owned restaurants. And he would only have like 2 days off for the whole year. It was Chinese New Year, the first day and the second day of the Chinese New Year.
Okay.
Because in Hong Kong, well, we did celebrate Christmas, but it wasn't huge for my family. But Chinese New Year was. So he only got 2 days off of the whole year. So I absolutely understood where she was coming from. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, you're right. So that's why I got into P&G, not knowing if I liked it, if that was something I wanted to do. Really just thinking, I'll just go for a short term. And like I said, I stayed because, of all the materialistic things that I was able to get out of it. Until I had started to have kids. And I started to realize, you know what? I am really setting a terrible example to my children. Okay. Because my children can see that I did not enjoy what I was doing. And my children could see that mommy was only doing it because of the pay.
Yeah.
I wanted to really be a role model for my children to have them see, you know what? You can pursue your passion and it is okay.
Yeah.
Right? So it was, after a while, I told my husband, I said, you know what, I can't do this anymore because look at what the kids are seeing in their mom. I don't want them to see like the mom is so miserable in what she does. So I decided to have a career change when I was 40 years old.
Wow. And how did that go?
It was so hard. It was so profound.
What age were your kids?
They were, at the time, they were about 6. I have 3, right? So probably 2, 4, and 8 or something like that.
Okay.
So they were starting to understand, like, okay, mom goes to work and she gets miserable and mom comes home. Like, things like that. I literally had to sit them down once my husband and I made that decision and said, well, mommy, it's going to make a really big change in my job. And
which means
that means
life change.
We're not going to go to Hawaii every year because my husband's from Hawaii. So we go back every year for vacation. We're not going to eat out so often, right? We're going to have budgets now. So I had to prepare them for that lifestyle change because I knew I'm going to have a major cut on my paycheck starting out owning my own business.
You decided you were going to own your own business.
Yes, because at that age, at 40 years old, I'm like, what am I going to do? Am I going to just get another corporate job and be miserable? And then I started getting really interested in holistic health because of some personal health issues that my husband and I went through. And we found relief in changing our diet, changing our lifestyle, found in some alternative health solutions. So I'm like, this is powerful. And I want to share this message and allow other families to experience the health and the vitality that we're experiencing now. So I decided to become a health coach.
Oh, that's good. Well, and it's the time, because I think we are so busy that it ends up, I mean, I don't know if it was the area that I was living in. I lived in Walpole, New Hampshire while my children were in middle school and high school. And it is a very, it's kind of close to the hippie colonies that grew in the 60s. So there is a lot of non-pesticide, free-range chickens, free-range eggs, just a lot of really, I remember dandelion greens and things that, I mean, I never put pesticides on my lawn. I never even saw pesticides being put on lawns until I came out here. So it's just a really different way of life. So when you go to a farmer's market, you would not experience completely great looking. I mean, they're wonderful looking, but it wouldn't necessarily be full of pesticides, so it has a different look. The apples have a different look. So it's interesting. So when I came out here, when my first move was to Montana, shocking.
I bet.
I mean, I always crack up because the dump, the actual waste center, in our grocery store, you would buy your bags that would say Walpole on them. And I only used one. And you just drove through and you deposited all the different glasses and all the different, I mean, everybody had a big method. And people would put furniture. It was like going to a secondhand store that was really classy. So I had never seen a dump, like a landfill in I was shocked. I drove out in Montana. I'm like, where is it? I was expecting buildings that you drive, you pull your stuff out. No, it was unbelievable. So I get out and I wonder, okay, am I unhealthy because I started a business? Why am I not feeling as great? And so you really have to work at it out here.
Definitely. And the stress. So in the beginning of my career as a health coach, I worked a lot with corporate women because of the stress that we endured, right? And keeping that work-life balance with our families and our job. So in the beginning of my career, that was the focus. And then I found out about essential oils. That completely changed my life. So right now, I am a certified health coach, but my specialty is in essential oil education. What that means is that I help people feel better physically and emotionally using doTERRA essential oils. And moms turn to me when their current approach to health is not giving them the results that it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Or they want to have more energy to do more things with the people that they love without the side effects of stimulants.
Yeah.
Or they want to, like you, they are looking at more natural ways to take care of themselves, but they don't have the time to do all kinds of research.
Yeah, I do not have, there was a time where I had a garden. I don't have a time for a garden now.
Exactly.
I just don't. And so I'm not going to grow vegetables. I mean, I have a little box of vegetables that it's really just for pleasure. And there's a few vegetables in it, but there's no way. I mean, I fortunately love my job, but it's still a baby business. So baby businesses, or I should say I'm entering the teen years of the business. Well, I will be in 2 years. So, you really, it is incredible the stuff you have to do.
Oh, yes.
But I oftentimes will work a 12, 13, 14-hour day without even realizing it.
I agree.
So, but part of that is that I am well matched I've got the personality of someone self-employed, and I value that. I value being able to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a matter of, like this morning, I had to do a lot of learning. So you have to piece them in. And so, yes, I can see the value of having a health coach and having it in that way. So how did you get it all going? I mean, you were here in Idaho. How did you trip into Idaho?
So all of this started when I was still back in the Bay Area, and I actually just moved to Idaho about 8 months ago.
Oh.
Wanting to have some change, wanted to get out of the rat race.
So how did you convince your husband to come here?
Well, my husband was actually really on board because he also works from home, and so we were looking at a place where it's more friendly for the family, more room for the kids, right? So we felt like this is the good place to be, and we've been very happy.
Now, so how are your kids? Have they transitioned well? Do they like Idaho? Do they like the snow?
They love the snow. Have you had any kids that do not like the snow, actually?
I do have a couple kids. I definitely have a couple kids who are warm weather kids.
Really?
And actually they focus on colleges that it's unfortunate because California, and it's going to be really interesting this year with the college application process. We're all kind of with the scandal, that Varsity Blues scandal that went on. But also there's some other pieces, and which I'm really interested in your take on it. Having gone to Cornell, there is a lawsuit out there right now with the Asian population. And I see that. I have worked in this field for over 20 years, and there is a definite, really difficult, they measure you higher. How does that feel to you? I mean, here you are, 15, you come to the country, you have to learn another language, you have to get rid of this accent that you think people will not like, and which they probably would have loved.
Totally.
And you were up against a harder scale. Did you realize that? Did it feel it?
Honestly, at the time, we were talking about 20-something years ago, right? Yeah. I did not. And I might have been too naive. I just knew that we have to be better at math. Yeah. Because that's just, people look at you, you're Asian, you're good at math. I just knew that there were certain expectations.
Don't you think that's kind of silly?
At the time, I just think, oh, yeah, I'm Asian, I'm better at math. I just kind of took it as is, just like because I'm new, right? There were so many little cultural things that I had to learn. I thought that was just one of it. I thought, okay, that is what it means to be in America, is you have to be better at math because it is what it is, because I'm Asian. Yeah. So I just kind of took it along as this is what it is when you live in America. But you're right. Now that I look back, and I was like, well, there was a lot of things held against me because of the way I look.
Yeah. And to me, it's scary for your kids.
It's exactly.
I have a very, very strong, talented young lady who's Japanese, and you'll see. I mean, I've highlighted her before because she earned first chair at her school for violin. She's just a real go-getter. Just a real, and I remember when she first came in, I had to say that to her. I said, because she was from California, I cannot say that she was very happy about the move. I think she misses the busyness of California. And there's some, I know I have another family that came and he misses the malls. He's like, we had huge malls. And, just the shopping, he said, which really cracked me up that it was coming out of his mouth that way. But and I said to her, you need to be really careful because I can tell you, she is very bright. But I said, like a B is not going to work for you. And I showed her the lawsuit that's going on, and her eyes were wide open, and she's rearranged her schedule, and she's taken classes that are appropriate for her. They are her level. She is a very bright young lady. And I think she was able to just say, I said, you're going to be able to move wherever you want. You're going to be able to get back to California if that's what you want. But it was really shocking to her. And I'm worried for her I am really worried because she is going to be competing and on this scale that's going to be so much harder than other kids.
Well, one thing I keep telling my children is that do your very best. People are going to hold unrealistic expectations against you, right? There's nothing you could do against the external, things that you cannot control. We can keep worrying about that, or we could just say, you know what, I am doing the best that I can. I'm being the best version of myself. And that is the only thing we can control is how we carry ourselves, right?
Yeah.
How we learn, how we grow as a person. So that's just what I tell them. And I so believe that if they hold on to that, if they continue to be the best version of themselves, there's going to be a school that will appreciate them the
or
way
that
they
they'll
are.
discover, like my daughter did.
Right.
She went to visit her school. I mean, she got off that plane. I can just see her at the top of the stairs.
Beautiful.
Just saying, that is my college. The girls are like me. They're horse girls. And, you know, just, and it was. Beautiful. It was, and she was able to take her horse to college. I mean, come on.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, for $1,000 the whole year. She just had to agree to let new riders ride the horse, which he was. I usually ride him if we ride because he is a gentle giant. So it was perfect. So she was able to bring her horse to college.
Beautiful.
So the announcement was, you know, Hillary and Rap are going off to college.
Aww, how beautiful.
Yeah. So what's the message? What's the message you would give to students? For, you know, I mean, to be, if they wanted to get into the field that, I mean, you wanted to get into hospitality, but right now you're self-employed. So speak to advice on what you're doing now. What would you recommend for students who want to do what you're doing?
My advice to them would be truly examine what's on the inside. Like, what brings you joy? What makes you happy? When you wake up first thing in the morning, like, what gets you out of bed? What gets you excited? Because you could have this degree, like me, I spent 4 years, I've invested a lot of time and resources and money, right, into getting this degree. And I realized, well, that is not really what I truly wanted to do. And it is okay to detour and say, you know what, that was amazing. That was an incredible experience that contributed to who I am today. But it is okay for me to take a different turn. Because sometimes I feel like people think that they're so invested in something, they know that they don't enjoy it anymore, but they don't have the courage to get out because they just feel like this is me. So I just wanted to encourage you guys, whatever it is, look inside first to find what really fuels you, what brings you joy. And if you need to do a course correction, give yourself grace to do that.
Can you look back and figure out when you should have left? Because really, taking that job wasn't necessarily not a smart move. I'm sure
it wasn't.
Gained.
It was amazing. Yeah. It was an incredible experience. Definitely, I learned so much from that company, from like all the marketing skills that I learned because I was in sales and marketing, and that has equipped me as an entrepreneur too. Because right now I feel like sales and marketing are still some of my strongest because of my experience at P&G. So, yes. I wanted to say, I should have left maybe at the 2-year mark when I told myself that I made that goal, or 5 or 10th year. But I'm probably not going to do that because it will only bring regrets. And I would probably say I was there for as long as I needed to.
Yeah.
And when I was truly ready, when I had the courage and the conviction to leave, I did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I know when I had my first business as a barber, I want to say 5 years in. But, you know, there was a lot of me that was so frightened about school and I didn't know the process. And when I was doing it, it was still really, I just didn't know what I wanted to study. And I had a sprinkle, I had fantastic professors, just amazing, that were really, really, and they were at the community college and they were just so inspirational and really, just really, really caring. And that was a great place for me to be because I was very, very concerned about why am I, I don't even know what I want to study. And that's one of the reasons why I've developed my program the way I have, so people aren't blindly going in, because I work with adults too. So, well, I appreciate it, and I thank you so much. And one of the things that has always kind of frightened me with essential oils is sometimes smells really get to me. So what's the value of looking at your company's product?
I'm so glad you brought that up. I will bring up this example. So my husband is one who has always not enjoyed fragrances.
Yeah.
Even as we started dating, I knew that I could not wear my perfume anymore because he would get a headache each time. He comes even close and smell. I can't do it. It's giving me a headache. So I've learned not to wear perfume because of his sensitivity to smell. However, when I started learning about essential oils, I realized, well, first of all, in the whole essential oil industry is actually highly unregulated. So you could go to the store, bring up a bottle, even your health food store, organic, all of that, you can bring up a bottle. The FDA does not have any regulations on what you put in there. So many of the oils that you find in the stores are adulterated. What that means is that they can fill it with pesticides, herbicides, fillers, whatever, synthetics, whatever it is to create that bottle of aroma.
Wow.
When I first joined doTERRA, what really made me feel that difference was the company's commitment to quality and purity. What they do is they actually source their oil from all over the world. What that means is that they go to the indigenous region of the plant. Because as you think about it, when a plant is grown and harvested in its ideal condition, where the soil, the altitude, the climate all contribute to the medicinal properties of that plant, that is a different lavender plant than a plant that is grown, say, like in China. So our lavender oil is actually grown in the Mediterranean region because that's the area that is best to grow in. Our peppermint oil is from Washington State. Our tea tree oil is from Australia.
Oh, interesting.
So they source the oil, from all over the world. And what happens is that once they get the oil, they actually would run 40 to 50 different tests, both in-house and also using a third-party lab to ensure that, number one, is the right species of lavender or the plant. Did you know that there are actually over 28 different species of lavender?
I knew there were different, but I didn't know that there were 28.
Many. Because each one of them also carry different medicinal properties, and we only want the one with the best medicinal. So you can look at lavender oils from different companies, and they don't all mean the same thing.
Right.
So the reason why I bring up all of that is, again, right, the quality and the purity commitment. So I know that when I hold a bottle of doTERRA oils, there is nothing but pure therapeutic grade essential oil in it. So I would actually invite you to, I'm going to give you some samples after this. I would invite you to smell it, and you would smell the difference. I've had, like, using my husband again, right? So I was really apprehensive when I first learned about essential oils, but I really wanted to find out more. And so I started using it, and my husband has no longer any reaction to it. In fact, he also uses oils himself now. He really enjoys it because it truly helps change or turn our health around. And I use it on my children when they come to me with digestive issues or when they are a little bit too wound up. I have 3, right? And they get a little bit too chaotic. I can use the oils to calm. I can use the oil to soothe. When sometimes I have head tension because of stress or different things, I can use certain oils to find relief. So these oils are totally life-changing to me.
Wow.
And I invite you to try that. And I am going to, get you some to try because I think that what you were reacting to were the impure oils. But when you truly find something that's absolutely pure, you might find yourself having a different experience.
So how does someone get a hold of you? What are the different ways that someone can contact you?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Essentials Kingdom. I'm also on my website, essentialskingdom.com. You can look me up that way.
Okay. And So if someone wanted to have you do a workshop, I noticed you did workshops, which were really fascinating. So do you do small group workshops, company workshops? What do you do?
All of the above. So whether, like I was sharing, whether it's moms who just want to get a couple of girlfriends get together and learn more about how to use oils for their kids, for their families, I do fun workshops like that for moms. Or because of my corporate background, I do a lot of corporate workshops. And the focus would be to use oils for stress relief, to increase productivity, to boost our immune system. So I do that at companies as well. So back in California, I had done it with Hitachi, Facebook, a couple of, I can't even think of the names now. So a couple of the different companies out there. So they were my clients in learning how to use essential oils for their employees.
That is great.
It's
That's
fun.
Good.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, we will definitely try them. We're open to everything, aren't we? Aren't we?
And just to throw it out there, there are oils to support memory. There are oils to increase your alertness when you study. So definitely there are oils I put in my kids before homework time. So it's definitely focus, memory, all of that. We have an oil for that.
Wow. So again, how do you get a hold of you?
On Facebook, Essentials Kingdom, or on my website, essentialskingdom.com.
Thank you so much. I look forward to trying your products.
Thank you, Rebecca.
And I'm going to report on them because, my memory sometimes. I think it's when, things like Nias is like, no, I think it's your turn to do lunch. And I don't remember that. I think it's your turn. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you for being our guest at the College Light Bulb. And we will see. You're going to come on again. This will be good.
I'll be honored.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye-bye.